Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The following is a re-upload of a miniature video essay from 5 years ago. In July 2020, I tried uploading this video on YouTube, but it got taken down because of copyright, and I received a strike. So I responded by uploading it onto BitChute, where I didn't have any problems. Now, earlier this year, the Online Safety Act came into force in the UK. I'll let the viewer do their own research into this seemingly innocent act that has massive ramifications for privacy, security, and free expression online. The Act grants the British Office of Communications, otherwise known as Ofcom, the ability to fine any internet platform that doesn't comply with the new law's regulations. In the wake of this new law, BitChute decided to pull its services out of Great Britain, and now nobody in the UK can access the site. This is what you see if you try to get in. There are only 2 ways to access BitChute if you are a UK resident: either leave the country or use a VPN. I do not believe it is fair to ask my subscribers in Great Britain to do either of these things to see my videos, so I'm re-uploading my BitChute exclusive videos, including this one. It has been edited to appease the YouTube copyright gods. I hope you all enjoy this re-upload. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. On a year which seems distant and remote to me now, I uploaded my first video on this channel. SAO Critique. The Aincrad arc. I started writing and recording the video because I wanted to answer a question. How did this anime get so popular? I thought by writing and making the video essay, the answer would present itself somewhere in the creative process, but when I reached the end of the video, I found myself more confused than when I began. I couldn't figure out the answer, and examining the faults of the series just made me realise how bad it was, and how it shouldn't have had such success in the first place. My final assessment was, the series was bad, but passable, and could be fun if you turned your brain off. Because I was unable to figure out why the series was so popular, I ended the video saying that Sword Art Online's success was a lightning in the bottle incident, and couldn't really be explained. Although it seems like an age has passed since I made the video, my opinion on Sword Art Online's Aincrad arc hasn't changed, and my criticisms of that arc still stand. Around the time I released the video, the YouTuber who dwells in his mother's basement, who has made many videos criticizing Sword Art Online, decided to make a video to try and answer the question of Sword Art Online's appeal. In his video, Why Do So Many People Love SAO? The Art of Mass Appeal, he offered a range of suggestions, and if you watch his video, you will notice a running theme is Sword Art Online appeal to new anime viewers because of his proposed reasons. First, that it was released at the right time with the right premise. Sword Art Online was about a computer death game, and was released as MMORPGs, Hunger Games, and The Walking Dead were becoming popular. Also, Crunchyroll had just come along, and eventually, Sword Art Online arrived on Netflix. Second, the animation and design styles were slick and polished, although they were very similar to A1 Pictures' other productions. He also makes a point about how these things appeal to the casual anime viewer, how the animation and design styles are versatile, and how the environments look gorgeous. Third, plot variety. He states that Sword Art Online played around with different stories and genres, and how it feels like something important happens in each episode. Fourth, he argues that the animators at A1 Pictures were very good at setting the tones they wanted to set in both scenes and episodes. Fifth, the songs and the music for the series were excellent and made the action scenes seem good. Sixth, this is where our friendly basement dweller talks about what he thinks is the biggest reason for Sword Art Online's success: the fact Kirito and Asuna get together in episode 10. Now, this is his final point, and I won't do it justice in this brief summary, but basically, it was refreshing to see the main ship get together halfway through the series, and this allowed for the exploration of motivations and emotions not normally present in anime series similar to Sword Art Online. I don't think any of these points are wrong necessarily, and I do think he was onto something with his final point. But at the time I watched his video, I found them to be empty, and I still hold this feeling about them today. I have always felt they missed the mark, and don't really reach the core of the Aincrad arc's appeal, which allowed it to explode onto the Western anime scene. After 3 years thinking about the topic every now and then, I think I may have realised the core appeal of the Aincrad arc, which can help explain why it became such a success. And as you might expect, this core appeal is deeper than the already suggested appeals listed by Mother's Basement, although the sixth one is still rather important, as we shall see. I think the core appeal has to do with masculinity and young men's sense of self-worth in Western societies in this present age. But what am I talking about? Here's how I see the issue. The classic exemplar of masculinity is the man who is a protector, leader, and provider for his family, and an important man in his community. For this reason, warrior fiction and the action genre appeals to men because deep down, every man knows he should be striving towards that ideal. But 21st century Western nations don't encourage men as a whole to be protectors, leaders, or providers for either the family or the nation. Now, there are hundreds of reasons for this, but I would posit one major possible reason, and that is, society simply doesn't need men to be masculine. For starters, the West has not seen a major war in decades, and every war that has been fought by Western powers recently has always been against third world countries, who simply don't have the ability to fight protracted conventional wars or strike the homelands of their attackers directly. Violent crime as a whole has been on the decline, so why should your average Western man concern himself with learning any martial discipline? As for the leadership role, which was mostly understood as being a leader in the familial context, hence statements such as, he is the man of the house, or he wears the trousers. Well, didn't you hear? Those ideas are sexist, and if something is sexist, then it must be evil. As for the provider function, not only can women work, but they are also encouraged to do so. To be a breadwinner is no longer held by society as a masculine ideal. It may be masculine in and of itself, but it is held as a citizen ideal, a gender-neutral ideal, so men cannot usually get recognition for being masculine in society by being a good breadwinner. Boys and men in Western society are, in some ways, still expected to be masculine, but they aren't expected to be protectors on the whole, and although they are expected to be employed, they are not considered masculine men or good men for being so. They are only considered good citizens if they get good jobs, not good men. And of course it goes without saying that any man's claim to being the man of the house is sexist and therefore immoral. So we have a situation where boys and men know they are supposed to be protectors, leaders and providers, but don't see any reason why they should be these things. And moreover, Western societies are not encouraging them to grow so they can fulfill either of these roles. Today, most institutions in the West seem eager to encourage women to try and fulfill these roles, and this was true even when Sword Art Online was released. But again, men and boys still know they are supposed to be tough, adventurous, assertive, and able to fight. Deep down, they know they should be these things, but without any reason or encouragement to develop these traits, they just don't bother. And there is a serious question here. Why should they? Nevertheless, because it is in the nature of boys and men to develop these traits, they still have this inward desire to be a good protector, leader, and provider. But how can this desire be satiated when the desirers are not working to be these things? Simple answer: computer games. Computer games allow boys and men to blow off steam and to live out aggressive fantasies. The real world may not ask for them to get better at fighting or to get healthier for their community, but a computer game will demand that a player get better at the game to beat the current level or area. As for computer games which are multiplayer based, they can act as battle simulators, where real human beings fight each other in a safe digital environment. Is it any wonder computer games appeal to young boys so much when they actively address the young boy's yearning to be a good warrior, leader, and protector? When they actively reward the young boy for being good at the game, and for developing artificial martial and protective skills? Now, of course, someone may protest that if young boys and men have this desire to be good protectors, then why aren't boxing, MMA and kickboxing gyms and dojos more popular? There are three things to bear in mind here. First, fear. For a young boy to go to any kind of martial arts gym, he must have either courage or fearlessness. Martial arts gyms can be physically demanding and even a little bit dangerous. And of course, if the people there are horrible or not very friendly, then it can be really difficult for a boy to feel comfortable and to learn. Personally, I think it is kind of ridiculous to drop a young boy into a martial arts gym and tell him to learn. I think a boy needs to know someone within the gym, or go with someone he knows to the gym, to learn properly. Entering a martial arts gym or dojo can be scary and awkward, but friendly people and kind-hearted mentors will alleviate the tense feelings any boy may have. Second, ease. What is easier? Going to a martial arts gym, working out, getting exhausted, making mistakes, and slowly learning how to fight better, or playing a computer game where, after half an hour of playing, your character can get a level up and destroy NPCs with even greater speed. Computer games give the sense of achievement and the feeling one has improved their skills, and for a lot of boys, this is enough to satisfy them. They could find better satisfaction in a martial arts gym, but that takes more effort, so a game is going to be more appealing because of its greater accessibility to feelings of satisfaction and achievement. Third, cultural encouragement. In Western culture, the ability to defend yourself is respected. However, very few boys or men are actually encouraged by school or wider society to develop their self-defense abilities. There is no expectation for boys or men to learn a martial art, like there is to learn how to drive a car. So this is how we can explain the rise in computer games and the relatively low profile many martial arts gyms have. Nevertheless, computer games have a problem. The problem is computer games don't develop any useful skills, which could be used to protect loved ones. You can think up some strange and unusual scenario where your skills in Call of Duty might actually save someone's life, but in the real world, it would be far more useful to know how to throw a proper punch or fire a rifle correctly. Going back to martial arts gyms, even if a boy who is learning a martial art is no good at it, he will develop both his strength and his stamina while he is there, and these could be useful in a life or death situation. He may not be able to fight his way out of trouble, but if he has done plenty of jogging for exercise, he could run his way out of trouble. It is not as impressive as fighting, but it is a useful ability. Knowing how to combine spells in a computer game for maximal damage? Not such a useful ability. Many boys take pride in their knowledge and skill at computer games, but deep down they all know the skills they are developing to play these games are not going to be useful in the real world. But boys sometimes fantasize about their skills being useful. After all, who wants to take a hard look at their gaming habits and realise they are spending too much time playing near useless games? Enter Sword Art Online, an anime where hundreds of gamers are trapped in a computer game, where it really is a life or death situation, where one's skills as a gamer are actually useful, seriously useful, dead serious if you will excuse the pun. This is both a gamer's worst nightmare and greatest dream. In the real world, your average gamer is not worth writing home about, and he almost certainly wouldn't be the greatest help if the zombie apocalypse jumped from around the corner. But in a game, where defeat means real death, and where the world follows different rules, your average gamer is suddenly a great asset to have on your side. Suddenly, he turns into the classic masculine man. In the real world, he probably wasn't a great provider, leader, or protector, but in SAO, he is both of these, and it would be wise to respect and follow his lead. It would also be best not to get on his bad side. In SAO, the protagonist fits the demographic profile of the average gamer. Kirito is a teenage boy who isn't good at fighting, doesn't have a job, and just by looking at him, you can tell he isn't dangerous. He is far from the classic ideal of masculinity in the real world, but in the game, he is the ideal. In the game, he is the best. This means that in the game, he has the skills to be a great, if not the best, protector, leader, and provider. In the real world, he is somewhere near the bottom of the masculine hierarchy, but in the game, he is definitely near or at the topmost stratum. Kirito is living the dream in many ways, because back in real life, these levels of a hierarchy would be inaccessible to him, unless he put in a great deal of effort to improve himself. Even then, he would probably require luck and support from others to climb the social ladder. As well, Kirito's near-useless gaming skills are suddenly essential, and so his time playing computer games for hours on end has been vindicated. Also, his skills are now attractive to the opposite sex. In real life, girls such as Asuna wouldn't give Kirito a second look, because girls are not attracted to boys who are only good at computer games. I'm sorry to break that to everyone, but in this game where Kirito's skills are extremely useful, to put it mildly, Kirito turns into something of a sex god and is able to attract multiple girls, something he would not be able to do in real life. Consider as well Kirito and Asuna's marriage. Can you imagine any girl wanting not only to marry someone like Kirito, but also to follow his leadership, as St. Paul and St. Peter direct wives to do, to accept him as the family leader? No, I cannot imagine this either. Again, in real life, Asuna wouldn't give Kirito a second look, but in the game, he has all the qualities, skills and abilities to fulfill all three of these roles, and is near the top of the dominance hierarchy. For these reasons, Asuna seems more than happy to accept his leadership in the marriage. Now, the way I have described Kirito and Asuna's relationship might just sound like a typical teenage boy fantasy, but I think this is a premature characterization. We would do well to keep in mind here that when a boy or man says he wants a girlfriend or a wife, this desire does not just exist because of the obvious appeals of physical affection, having a girl on one's arm, or even sexual intercourse. I think boys and men desire intimate female companionship for various deeper reasons, but I am going to suggest two here. Number 1. Intimate friendship. There is nothing stopping someone having a strong and close friendship with a member of the same sex. And no, such relationships don't have to be homosexual. However, a couple who sleep together, live together, and in some ways share the same life, have a bond which is intimate in a way which other bonds aren't. This is obviously not to say that same-sex friendships will not be close in different ways. Now, I still maintain Kirito and Asuna's relationship lacks chemistry and isn't well done. However, there are moments where I think it works, and it is the moments where something akin to relational intimacy is displayed. I think it is natural for both men and women to desire this type of intimacy. Number 2. Protection. I think boys and men have a natural instinct to protect girls and women. Boys and men not only seem eager to defend girls and women who don't deserve any defense, hence the existence of white knights both online and in real life, orbiting fops and harlots, but also girls and women who do deserve defending. As well, I think boys and men want to be perceived as good protectors by the women to whom they are attracted. Now, in Sword Art Online, Asuna is able to take care of herself, but Kirito saves her life 3 times in the Aincrad arc. For contrast, she saves his life once. And there is the understanding that Kirito, when push comes to shove, is the better and more dangerous fighter. Thus, Kirito represents the ideal familial protector, which boys and men want to be and aspire to be. Or, at the least, he is the ideal protector in the VR MMORPG, which is Sword Art Online. Kirito is depicted as a capable protector, and what's more, his wife is presented as being worthy of protection. Asuna has been written so that she is the ideal love companion, so the audience wants to see someone like Kirito protecting her. Hence, Sword Art Online directly appeals to the inbuilt instinct boys and men have to protect women who love them, or who might love them. I have spoken a lot and have used many words, but I think everyone knows what I am trying to explicate here. Sword Art Online is a power fantasy for teenage boys who play computer games and derive their sense of identity from gaming. However, I must stress here that whilst the label power fantasy is accurate, due to its numerous negative connotations, the term doesn't help touch the deeper reasons for Sword Art Online's appeal. The reasons for the appeal of the Sword Art Online power fantasy are threefold, and you will notice a running theme in these points is the classic masculine ideal. Reason number 1. Sword Art Online speaks to the unspoken acknowledgement that boys and men should be aspiring to be better protectors, leaders, and providers in their families and communities. In Sword Art Online, we follow Kirito as he becomes a great warrior and something of a leader, not a provider as such, although he seems to be rich, and saves people from death. Reason number 2. Sword Art Online affirms the gamer identity many young boys have adopted. In Sword Art Online, it isn't the martial artists who are the best at the game, but instead the people who have played other games like Sword Art Online, or who were beta testers. Because being a good gamer is the difference between life and death, being a good gamer is affirmed as being masculine, and this is a nice fantasy for a gamer to enjoy. Reason number 3. Unlike some power fantasies, the Sword Art Online fantasy has a degree of possibility, and is thus more relatable to the target audience. Now obviously it would be extraordinarily difficult to sell and distribute virtual reality headgear sets with the ability to fry your brains when you die in a specific game. After all, health and safety authorities would quickly uncover the inbuilt threat to human life. However, if we assume the health and safety authorities were all bribed, corrupt, or just didn't care, and if we assume that manually removing the helmet or cutting off the power supply would fry the gamer's brain, then the presented scenario in the series is actually possible. Hence, it is a power fantasy which a gamer can entertain and enjoy in a way not possible with other power fantasies. An anime such as Is It Wrong to Try and Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon is clearly a fantasy aimed at the same demographic, but it is an anime set in a real world. Thus, the same rules concerning fitness, stamina, and strength apply. So even though Bell is a power fantasy, he is less relatable than Kirito. Almost any gamer could be as overpowered as Kirito if he knew how to build his character properly, and how to cheese or otherwise cheat the system. But to be as dangerous as Bell would take physical effort and skill. In these 3 points, my explanation for the massive success of Sword Art Online is encapsulated. I have been trying to find the answer for years, and now my quest has ended. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have an excellent day. While I was editing the script for this video, it occurred to me that Sword Art Online is not the most recent work of fiction to explore a story where mastery of a computer game suddenly makes a boy/man masculine and desirable to women and girls. Several other films are similar to Sword Art Online: Ready Player One, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and Jumanji: The Next Level. The main protagonists of these films also echo the demographic profile of the average gamer: young men who are introverted, not very athletic, and not very skilled with members of the opposite sex. And like in Sword Art Online, these two protagonists find that their actions in a game world are suddenly vitally important and meaningful. These two protagonists also prove their worth to women by their actions in these game worlds. One salient difference between the protagonists of Ready Player One and Jumanji and Sword Art Online is that Parvizel and Spencer work with a team of friends and companions to defeat the villains in their stories, but Kirito defeats the villain in the Aincrad arc by himself. Thus, Ready Player One and Jumanji explore the themes of teamwork and friendship, while Sword Art Online does not, because Kirito is the demigod, and you're not allowed to forget it.